All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. It is Friday. We got retail sales data in about an hour and 20 minutes. Nasdaq's up to 23,912. We got United Health up big after a Berkshire Hathaway investment in them, and some more big news to talk about today. Yeah. Again, Burke announced a pretty big investment. Let me get some music playing. Hold on. Yeah, United Health jumped. It's up to over $300 a share. We're still in it. In pre-market after Berkshire Hathaway revealed a new investment in the company. Other insurers like Elevance, Centene, Molina gained 4 to 5% on this news as well on sympathy. Nucor is up almost 6% or a little bit over 6% following their newly discovered stake there. Other stocks that are up today. So here's United Health on the bottom right here. You can see how much it's up if we zoom out a little bit or put like a 5-minute chart up. This is the big move from United Health on this news. Applied Materials is down. APLD. Or what's Applied Materials? AMAT. They're down pretty significantly today after issuing weak Q4 guidance despite beating Q3 estimates. So bad guidance making Applied Materials down. AMAT. You know, we have some other stocks in the same sectors. KLA and Lam down 5 to 6% on similar concerns. Intel is up a little bit this morning after reports the U.S. government may consider taking a stake in them to help boost U.S. manufacturing. Quantum stocks are down after year-over-year revenue declines in a lot of them. Crude is pretty stable today. It's at about $65 a barrel, which is really right around the sweet spot. It's a little bit under that actually, but it's close. Markets are monitoring the summit from the U.S. and Russia, hoping for progress. Of course, futures are still pretty optimistic though. You take a look at the NASDAQ, it is slightly green. E-mini, slightly green. The odds of rate cuts are still pretty solid. It's still looking very probable that we're going to cut rates next meeting, although it's less likely that we're going to do a 50 basis point cut. I know Bostic spoke yesterday. Bostic spoke yesterday or a few days ago about how we can do 50 and all this stuff. I don't think 50 is very probable after yesterday's PPI inflation data came out. And then today we have retail sales data. Again, S&P at record highs. Investors are waiting July retail sales, Michigan consumer sentiment, import-export price index, and manufacturing and industrial output reports. So that is where we're at today. And yeah, that's the market right now. We'll do a poll. What's up, Lee, Ray, Ace, Ryan, Fox, Y, F, Keegan, Sweet, D. Jack, what's up, guys? Good morning. All right, we're watching this 23.9 level. What's up, Trey? Grammy. All right, so you can see Bitcoin and other cryptos subdued a little bit today after yesterday. We can see ETH. ETH is up a little bit. ETH is green, although it dipped a lot yesterday, but ETH is green. It's up to almost 4,700s. Are you following any of the ETH treasury companies? Some of them, maybe. I'm watching Coinbase. Bit Digital, BTBT is always one. AT&F's always one I've watched. Game Square. There's a couple of them, you know. But Bitmine's probably the biggest one. BMNR. What's the symbol? There it is. Maybe I just typed it wrong. Yeah, so BMNR. Yeah, United Health up big on a Berkshire Hathaway investment. So they're up big after Berkshire Hathaway invested in them. Today we got retail sales data. Again, we got retail sales today expected at 0.5%. Import-export price index expected at 0%. Or is it just the import price index today? Hold on. Personally, I'm glad it's Friday. I really am. Yeah, the big thing's core retail sales. I mean, we got like the import-export price index or import-export data, but the big thing is retail sales. Yeah, Michigan consumer sentiment expected at 61.9. All right, so we got that data scrolling at the bottom of the screen now. I mean, hey, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it, Ro. Thank you, sir. You feel the Fed will cut after yesterday's PPI data? I mean, I think it varies, man. I think probably will still cut, but really, you want to listen to what Jerome Powell says next week on Friday, because that's gonna tell you what he's gonna do most likely. Usually at the Jackson Hole Symposium, which is what's next Friday, we get some type of understanding in what the Fed's like tone might, will be. We talk about monetary policy, we talk about updates to stuff, and that is next Friday. And so that's going to be an important thing. And so again, if you want to know what Jerome Powell's going to do, pay attention to the stream on Friday. I'll stream it live. Like, we'll stream the Jackson Hole Symposium live. Yeah. Disciplined. Did I buy a short-term put on Palantir? I mean, if you want to, bro. I'm not gonna do it, but if you want to, do your thing, man. All right, so here's Nvidia. Nvidia's basically been flat. We're basically where we opened up, or not really where we opened. We're basically at yesterday's pre-market levels for Nvidia. Amazon's still up though. I think I'm still in Amazon too. Yep. 212 is my average price on Amazon. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. We appreciate it. Yeah, retail sales data at 8:30 today. That'll be a big report. See what it looks like. Hey, nice pawn. Have fun, man. Yeah, UNH. Again, it looks like Warren Buffett. Not Warren Buffett. It looks like Berkshire Hathaway is thinking the same thing as me. Because if you guys remember, I bought UNH. I talked a lot about it. UNH, down big, generally a healthy company. And, yeah, we bought the dip a week or two ago. And, We're up a very large percentage short term. Our average price is 240s at 300s. So yeah, very large percentage. You know. Yeah, gold under 3400s is at 3384s. If we take a look at yields here, yesterday yields were at like a yields are at the like bottom of like 4.2%. It's looking like they're now adjusting to the PPI data. Yeah, look at the spike we got from PPI data yesterday. Understandably so. I mean, we're gonna spike on that PPI data regarding yields. Yields and interest rates follow each other, so that PPI data just meant, you know, obviously a little bit higher rates, potentially. And look at yields spike up at 8:30 after that data came out. So not a shock, pretty predictable, I think. But you know, we could also look at like the CME watch tool and see currently we got about a 92.6% chance of a 25 basis point cut in September is what we're showing right now. 92.6, 7.4% chance of a pause. This is a pause expectation here. This is a cut expectation. And then next week we got the Fed minutes. We got Jackson Hole. We got some other stuff too. So. And yeah, it's an interesting day for sure. It's Friday, and so just be careful trading. I'm gonna try to be careful. But Treasury Secretary Bessent, Secretary of State Rubio, and Commerce Secretary Lutwick, and CIA Director Ratcliffe will attend the Alaska talks. Again, and according to a Reuters poll that came out, the Fed is going to cut FFR, federal funds rate, to 4 to 4.25% in September. They say 67 out of 110 economists. It was 56.105 in July for a 25 basis point cut. Now it is 67 to 110. And that's mostly driven by a mix of the labor report and PPI inflation, but the labor report is still swaying things. They said that to cut federal funds rate 1 or 2 this year, says 68 out of 110. So most people think we're going to get 1 to 2 cuts this year. It was 3 for a while after the labor report. You know, again, AMAT, Applied Materials, their guidance disappointed. And so they're down a lot. There's United Health up to 301. AMAT down pretty significantly after. They beat EPS in revenue, I think, but they had bad guidance this morning, so. All right, so we're starting to rebound back up at the NASDAQ here, though. I'm watching this 23.9 level. We got 925 up there, too. You know. Why did the market drop so much early this morning? Yeah, so next week we got Jackson Hole Symposium, the FOMC Minutes Report, Japan and Canada CPI. And more. I get Berkshire buying NUE as well. Yeah, I asked AI why we dipped so much this morning. Like, look at this drop today. All right, so look at us run right into that 925 level that we have on our charts. Look at that. Equal highs there. Yeah, it could be profit taken, and we're kind of right back up. But, you know, I've seen some people talk about levels, and they're using the same type of levels that I'm using, and they're trying to, like, I'm not saying I invented these levels or anything, but top 3 levels in the world right here. Look at that level. Look at that rejection exactly there. Market is delusional. Yeah, maybe. Hey, what's up, Beach Bum? Y'all go check out Beach Bum's channel. Give him a subscribe. Good swing trading content. Brad. Enphase is just like United Health, way undervalued, very profitable. I remember Enphase. It's a solar company though, and so it's going to reflect solar sentiment, strength or weakness. You know what I mean? A little bit different than like insurers and health, which is, bro, I don't want the rainbow mic, bro. I'm telling you, dude, this mic company is a genius. It's a genius. I'm mad at it, but it's a freaking genius, bro. They make my mic rainbow until I download the software, and I can change the color only once I download their software. You know? Smart. I can't even get mad. But every day I look at my rainbow mic and I'm kind of mad about it. But I can't really be too upset because I think it's actually a smart business move. You want people to download your software? Again, make the mic rainbow until the person just gets so frustrated with it. He's like, all right, I'm going to download the software now. Can't even get mad, I guess. Today's data important? No, it's not anywhere near as important as yesterday. I mean, it's not unimportant, but it's going to contribute to strength or weakness in the economy. Retail sales is important for a lot of reasons, but yeah, the market ripped up on bad PPI data. We had some fun comments though here. Like, we posted this on X. Make sure to give me a follow on X because a lot of people follow me because I post the stuff like as soon as it happens. But I posted the PPI data. At beginner trades, beginner TRADES. But yeah, it was just fun. Market ran up on the PPI data as well, which I don't even think it was kind of nonsensical. Like, why would the market run on super high worse inflation data? It just didn't make any sense. I held my calls all day through the bad inflation print. I'm either a genius. Yeah, I mean, hey, good job. Market turned a little bit this morning though, but still not over 24,000, so we're really kind of stagnant over the last few days. Rate cut odds didn't change that much, is probably why the market didn't freak out. Like, yeah, we're not going to get a 50, but a 50 basis point expectation was only like, what, 1% or something like that. And so those odds really didn't change that much. Now there's a 7% chance we pause again next meeting, but it's still over 90% chance that we cut. So all right, so it's 7:30 right now. Okay, so retail sales are expected to go up 0.5% month over month in July. Previous was 0.6%. Excluding autos, the measure seen at 0.3% month over month. Previous was 0.5%. In the control group, 0.4% month over month. Previous was 0.5%. Bank of America's consumer checkpoint data for the month, which has been recently a good indicator of retail sales, showed total credit card and debit card spending per household was up 1.8% year over year in July, the highest growth rate since January, according to its aggregated card data. Seasonally adjusted spending per household rose 0.6% month over month versus 0.4% in June. And the bank said that the improvement in consumer discretionary spending is encouraging, but data also reflecting some temporary boosts like online retail promotions and back-to-school spending, so seasonality. And the Bank of America also noted that a widening gap has opened up between wages and spending growth of lower-income households and other cohorts, with lower-income households seeing a deceleration in their after-tax wage growth in July. Higher-income houses saw an acceleration. It added that, quote, overall consumers remain in good financial health with elevated deposits and continued borrowing capacity, end quote. But they also said, quote, there are, however, a few signs of stress for lower income households, end quote. Elsewhere, Fed's Barkin on Thursday said that there were signs of improved U.S. consumer spending in July, citing healthier weekly credit card data compared with earlier weakness in the year. I doubt Barkin's going to comment on PPI data, though. Again, I doubt anybody's commenting on PPI data. I said this yesterday. As soon as the data came out, I wouldn't say anything if I was them. You know? I'm not going to be the one to mention this stuff. It just kind of goes against the argument. And I get it. It's PPI data, so it's producer prices, it's wholesale prices. A little bit more nuanced. I would say less influential, maybe, than CPI data. And so they might not mention it at all. But we had a big reaction to it. Morning, John. Everybody's commenting on my shirt, bro. What's wrong with my shirt? Dude, listen. I've never been a type of person that dresses up to go on stream. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna wear a suit. I've got some nice suits, actually. I'm not about to wear them on stream. It's nonsensical. Why am I streaming if I can't stream in a tank top? Like, why am I streaming? I don't care what I look like. I just woke up, you know? I don't think y'all mean it negatively, by the way. I'm just saying. I'm not gonna get all dressed up to stream. You know? Here's to you guys. Good morning. I just woke up. It's 6:30 Texas time, so. Do I really? Due diligence? You think I need to lose some weight, bro? I mean, I'm not heavy. Maybe it looks this way because my shoulders. Like, I'm not big, you know? Like, I mean, I'm like 180 pounds right now, or give or take a couple pounds. Good afternoon, guys. I had a good day, but I still want to trade with strict position sizing. That's the smart move, I think. Yeah, I think that's the smart move. Hey, thank you, J-Rod, for the follow on X. Appreciate it. There. All right, so the Indian government proposes two-rate GST structure with tax rates of 5% and 18%. Yeah, I do fasting almost every day. So usually what I do every day, I'm actually pretty healthy, you know? So like I'm 180 pounds, but it's not too heavy of it, if that makes sense. Like a lot of this is, you know, like I'll get up in the morning and I won't eat. And then a lot of the time I'll train jujitsu as well at like 11. So I won't eat until I go train, and then I get home. And lately I've been having like a shake after jujitsu, it's like peanut butter, like whey, you know, some type of milk, bananas, you know, and I'll have a shake after jujitsu. And then maybe I've been eating those carnivore snacks, which are like really, I don't know, they're pretty healthy, I think. and then I'll wait, and then I'll eat a very large meal. So I won't eat until like 12 or 1, and then I'll eat a pretty large meal for dinner, and then that's it, you know. If you have to ask AI why the market dropped, you shouldn't be trading. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think we could say, I mean, I watched PPI yesterday. We covered it. We had thousands of people here. I know PPI was bad. I was one of the first people to report that. And so I recognized PPI wasn't good. But PPI came out at 8:30 yesterday morning. The market dropped at 3 a.m. this morning, you know. And so I'm just curious as to why it dropped randomly at 3 a.m., you know. Sometimes it doesn't need a reason. And I don't know if the move is... This steep of a move generally is some type of catalyst, though. And so, you know, I don't think it's crazy for me to get up in the morning and say, hey, why did this big drop happen at 3 a.m. in the morning? You know, I think that's pretty understandable. But hey, you know, what do I know? Yeah, it could be overseas markets, sure. No, I don't drink at all. Oh yeah, let me do a poll. Yeah, I don't drink at all, guys. Not really. Like, I'll drink socially with friends. It's almost never a lot. All right, what's a good poll? Does the market test all-time highs today? Yes or no? I think that's a good poll. Does the market test all-time highs today? Yes or no? Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. That's possible, Rob, for sure. Hey, what's up, Diamond? Market rotating, very possible. It's certainly possible we got a delayed response to the PPI data. That's certainly possible. Yeah, I don't know if the meeting's gonna be good or not. All right, let me change this mic cover. Okay. Trying to sync my mic. Okay. Really gonna pop up here. All right. Oh well. All right, so we're still under 925s here. I'm still watching 925s pretty closely here as well. Yeah, AMAT got hammered because it beat EPS and revenue, but it had bad forward guidance. That's what happened with AMAT. Billy. Yeah, it'll be all right. I think we enter a bear market for a month of soon. Maybe. Possible for sure. John, it's time for you to start selling courses. Nah, I'm good, man. Like, trading publicly is hard enough. I don't feel like selling a course and having to fudge my numbers just so I can look to be better than I am, so I can justify being a genius trader selling courses to the internet. I'm good. That's the move most people take. It's the most profitable move. But I'm good on that, man. I think I make enough money doing this. I'm okay. Hey, what's up, Tibet? I'm doing good, man. Yeah, Nvidia earnings, not next week, but the week after, are going to be really important. They drop on the 27th. Also, the possible Fed chair candidate Summerlin says the Fed has the scope to cut by 50 basis points at the September meeting. Okay, so whoever this is vying for Fed chair. They're just trying to, I mean, I don't think a 50 basis point cut is reasonable now. 25's fine. But the PPI data kind of pushed back the expectation of a 50 basis point cut. And so I feel like they're just saying this to kind of mirror going on. Hear what somebody big up there wants, you know. Yeah, so this is a former Bush economic advisor, Summerlin, on rates have to market new data. 4.3% Fed funds rate is too high, they're saying. I mean, personally, I don't think a 50 basis point cut makes sense after yesterday. And I'm okay with cuts. I was okay with a 25 basis point cut this past meeting, but I don't know if 50 is the right move now. We'll see. You got to be data dependent. It depends on what the other data shows. If the labor report next month is really weak, maybe, then sure, you could maybe argue for a 50 basis point cut. Or if we get like ADP data that's weak next month, that might be a situation where you could argue for a 50 basis point cut. Or if we get low PCE inflation data at the end of this month, that might be an argument for a 50 basis point cut. But we don't have any of that stuff yet, and I think it's a little premature to push for that now. So we'll see. I think we're somewhere in the middle. Honestly, John, I don't want any rate cuts. It would just make people spend more money than they have. Financial responsibility in trades, education needs to be taught in schools. Yeah, I mean, I'm for trade stuff getting taught in school. Not trade. Let me clarify. I don't think anybody should teach trading in school. I think they should teach taxes or and how to deal with that, just so people are prepared for it. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to start a business, but they don't understand the tax implications of everything and how much they're actually going to get to keep from it. Yeah, that basic budgeting, money principles, sure. How do you feel on Buffett's investment into United Health? I'm for it. I'm in United Health. I bought United Health a couple weeks ago at 240. So it's at 300 plus now. I'm definitely for. I mean, it certainly helped me. Look at United Health. It's up big after Berkshire Hathaway invested in them. So good. All right, so the Trump-Putin meeting is scheduled for today, Eastern time. At 3 p.m. is what I'm showing for the one-on-one meeting beginning. The market's still in a bubble. I mean, you could argue it, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I think they already do teach some trades. They certainly teach carpentry at some schools. You know, and trades are good. I'm for trades. You know, I think the standard of schooling needs to, you know, back in the day, it wasn't the standard for everybody to go to college. And now I think every single parent, I think it's kind of the pendulum swinging back a little bit now, though. But everybody doesn't need to go to college. College is not for everybody. For a lot of people, it locks them in long-term debt for relatively useless degrees. Now, to be fair, if you have a degree, you're still going to have an edge getting a job over somebody without a degree. And you're also going to get paid more initially, usually, than somebody without a degree, depending on the context of it. But a lot of people are getting useless degrees just because they want to get... They're being pushed to go to school to get a useless degree, right? Stick with STEM is usually the right move. Like STEM degrees, very valuable. More resilient to AI replacement as well. So bullish, yeah, bullish IPO. Went up a lot, faded down, has been completely sideways since it IPO'd. A lot of people are still talking about it. It was still considered a really successful IPO. This company's now worth over $1 billion. $1 billion now. So and do rate cuts, inflation is heading in the wrong direction. Well, CPI inflation was fine, so consumer prices are showing resiliency. The only issue is that generally producers pass the prices on to consumers. And so if producer prices are high, what that might mean is that we might see those high wholesale prices get passed on to the consumer, which is pretty standard correlation, I would say, for it. And so that's the risk right now. That's the risk. We'll see. You know, never know. Is SEC Chair Paul Atkins teaching today? Or speaking today? I'm not sure. Is he? Yeah, I don't know. Alright guys, we got about 45 minutes. Let me get a timer up. It's about 42.5 minutes maybe. Late. Yeah, 8:30. Hope it's a green Friday. We're green so far, slightly green. NASDAQ's kind of slowing down though. I mean, I'm watching this 925 level. We have an upward trend. I'm watching 925s. We'll see if we can get over it. Okay, so Barclays says jobs data won't sway Powell's hawkish stance. They said today that recent jobs numbers are unlikely to change Jerome Powell's cautious approach on rates, despite markets betting on a September cut. The bank Barclays only expects 125 basis point cut in December and thinks investors are overly confident about September, misreading the Fed's view of labor market strength. Powell recently called policy, quote, only modestly restrictive with a solid labor market. Even the July slower job growth and 4.2% unemployment, Barclays sees no signs the FOMC members are shifting policy stance. September remains a, quote, close call, but the banks will watch Jackson Hole remarks for clues. Okay, so this gives me confidence in what I tell you guys because the banks are reiterating essentially what I said. Yeah, I'm watching Jackson Hole Symposium next Friday to see what Powell thinks. Because he's going to comment on monetary policy, he's going to comment on race, he's going to comment on economics and job data. And this is where we're going to see what if Powell's tune has changed a little bit from that really, really bad payroll revision. If Powell's honest, though, he should at least change his stance a little bit based off of the jobs data. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have 258,000 job revisions and not change your hawkish stance at least a little bit. On the downside revisions, that is. And so, yeah. I mean, you gotta change your, if you're being objective, you gotta change your stance a little bit. based off of the labor market data. So we'll see. We'll see. How many rate cuts do you guys think we'll get this year? Let me know in chat. Yeah, I think Jackson Hole's where the climate. Yeah, Powell had like some issues with climate control activists showing up. Powell had beef with them, apparently. And every time he would speak, they would show up and protest, and Powell even cursed one time. He said, "Close the effing door," end quote, Jerome Powell. It was entertaining to watch. Alright, so most people think 1 or 2. A couple people said 0. Rob says 3. Open door running? Yeah, I don't know about this one, man. It's up a lot, though. I mean, look at that trend for OPEN. Alright, we're testing this 925 level here. We'll see if we move. Three cuts? I don't know about 3. In order to get 3 cuts, we'd have to see really weak jobs data. High unemployment, weak jobs data. It's possible, though. Like, it's possible once we start cutting, we cut small every meeting. So we'll get 25, 25, 25 by the end of the year. In some way, September, October, and December. We have 3 meetings left, just to clarify, towards the end of the year. And so if you say 3, you're essentially saying that we cut every single meeting for the rest of this year. That's what we did last year. But I don't know if we're going to get it this year. Maybe. It's possible. We'll see. Depends on the data that shows up, to be honest. And again, we're going to be here to cover it. But yeah, it really depends on the data that shows up. Maximum of 1 cut this year, and if so, in December. So you don't think we're cutting in September like everybody else? Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we're trying to trade a little bit too, but need a reasonable dip here. Nvidia's starting to creep back up though. Look at Nvidia. Here's the previous closing price on Nvidia. It's right at 182 even, basically. I'm just glad it's Friday. Yeah, what I don't like is it's hurricane season. As a Louisianian, I don't like hurricane season. Bro, I swear, dude. The world looks kind of dystopian now. Like, the city I'm in literally posts all the mugshots of everybody that gets arrested. I mean, it's a discouraging thing. I mean, I think that's true. But, yeah. People's worst moments in life are broadcast to the world. I don't know how I feel about it. It seems dystopian to me. I got social media pages, the cops. I think, personally, I think they're taking it too far. I mean, I'm looking at it, but you know. You have to check last meeting. Jerome said that we should be thankful he's not hiking rates this year. Yeah, no, I heard him. I remember. I thought Powell was incredibly hawkish. I thought Powell would be dovish too. If you guys remember, prior to that meeting, I thought Powell would be dovish. I thought he would pause rates, but he was going to be dovish. Some people were saying he was going to cut the past meeting, and I had to tell him, nah, that's not happening. I thought he would be dovish, though. Really hawkish Powell. Really restrictive. Wouldn't commit to any type of rate cuts this year, and just really kind of restrictive. Basically said, yeah, based off of the data, you're lucky we don't hike rates. Yeah. And so a really hawkish Powell the last Fed meeting, which was only a couple weeks ago. This was like 2.5 weeks ago. So it's been interesting for sure. And yeah, we'll see what we get, but after that, the labor report was revised. Almost 260,000 jobs down for May and June. So the data that they were looking at was revised down to show massive weakness in the labor market for those 2 months, June and May. So there's been a lot of economic events following that, to be honest here. Yeah, 925 still rejecting. If we get a decent pullback, maybe I'll buy it. If we get a dip to like 910, maybe I'll take a trade based off of 23.9 up to 925 again. But we'll see. Yeah, again, I've said it once. The problem I have with OPEN, Open Door, is that they're basically running a marketplace for real estate. And Zillow has already tried this and failed at it. And Zillow is one of the largest real estate companies in the world. And so if Zillow tries and fails at this, what makes this penny stock capable of doing it successfully? What makes them different, I would say? Zillow's got the resources, it's got the data. It should be able to do that if it was possible to really do that effectively. And so if Zillow couldn't do it, what makes Open Door capable of doing it? That's my problem with Open Door. Now, it might run on momentum. People might get hyped up about it. You know, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic, but, you know, kind of neutral, honestly. They're at the whim of rates as well. A lot of them are. So, I don't know. Hey, thank you, Crazy. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. All right, guys. Retail sales data. We'll see what we get this time. I dropped my other mic. My not rainbow mic. My non-rainbow mic. Again, so the president said to meet with Putin in Alaska today. That's one of the biggest catalysts this morning. We got retail sales data. Yeah, UNH up big. Intuitive Machine stock has its worst day in months. They asked for more cash. Air Canada starts canceling flights ahead of work stoppage. Sendbird and Amazon Web Services announces a 3-year strategic AI collaboration as well today. Oil is up a little bit relative to where it was, right? Or no, oil, I'm sorry, it's down today. It's at 63. Although it's up over the last few days. Remember, this is my right coffee. Yes, it's right. Oh, all right, guys. All right, guys. So there's 8 a.m. We got 30 minutes left before retail sales data. We got about 800 people here. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. All right, guys, so we're dipping down. I might buy this 910 level. We'll see. I'm looking at it. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but it depends on how big of a dip we get towards it. We're at 912s. We got down to 914s, 915s, and then bounced here. I'll buy this, because if I have this, I have like a risk level to attack. I can use this level as a risk, and then this level as a reward target. And yeah, I think that's a reasonable one to take. I mean, we got 30 minutes left. Again, I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. Can't guarantee anything, but where you think the market goes, I really don't know. It depends on the retail sales data today. Again, retail sales data, if you see at the bottom of the screen, it's expected at 0.5% today. At 10 a.m., we also have Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations going live at 10 a.m. Now, most of the time, this thing, you know, it doesn't move markets a ton, but if we get higher inflation expectations, which I think is plausible now considering yesterday's PPI data, if we get higher inflation expectations, that could shake things a little bit. If we get like weaker, if we get higher consumer sentiment and higher inflation expectations, that might influence rates at least a little bit. How did you obtain your knowledge of markets? I mean, realistically, I just sat here watching all the breaking news that happened every day. And so watching all the big news that drops every day, eventually you start to research it and understand it and watch it and understand how things work and understand when things come out and understand how things roll with like Fed meetings and everything like that. So you just kind of you just kind of watch it, and you know, you watch it consistently, you'll start to understand it. Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about this earlier. So a couple news catalysts that we talked about earlier this morning, chat. No firms are contemplating U.S. investment-grade debt offerings on Friday, according to an informal survey of underwriters. Declined to name the potential borrowers ahead of retail sales data. So retail sales data a little bit more important today than I would say normal. Again, retail sales expected to rise 0.5% today in July. Excluding autos, seen at 0.3%, previous was 0.5%. Control Group 0.4%, previous was 0.5%. Bank of America consumer checkpoint data for the month, which has been a good indicator of retail sales, showed total credit card and debit card spending per household is up almost 2% at 1.8% year over year in July, which is the highest growth rate since January of this year. According to some of their data, they also showed 0.6% rise in seasonally adjusted spending per household versus 0.4% in June. They said that the bank, which is Bank of America, said that the improvement in consumer discretionary spending is good and encouraging, but the data also reflected some boosts like online retail promotions and back to school seasonality. They also noted that a widening gap has opened up between the wages and spending growth of lower income households and other cohorts. Lower income households seeing a deceleration in their after-tax wage growth in July. Higher income houses saw increases. It added that overall consumers remain in good financial health with elevated deposits and borrowing capacity, but also added that there are, however, a few signs of stresses for lower income households. Elsewhere, Barkin Thursday said there were signs of improved consumer spending in July. Healthier weekly credit card data is the reason for it, he thinks, compared with earlier weakness in the year. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens here. Retail sales data a little bit more important. Look at this dip here. So I didn't end up buying 910. This is too big of a drop. We'll see if this rejection happens here at the 200 exponential at 910 now. So we just ripped under that 910 level. I'm just going to wait, I think. That's a big drop. I could short this and attack a move down to 23.9. Maybe that's a trade to take. Let me think about it. All right, we'll try. We'll short this. Very small trade. And if we get significantly back over the 200 exponential, back up to like 915s, 916s, we'll just cut it. So about a 2-to-1 reward to risk trade here. Our reward target's about 9. Our risk is 15, which is about 5. So reward target's about 10 away. Risk is about 5 away. So very small trade, but 25 minutes before the retail sales data releases. There we go. Give it some time. Markets are kind of flat ahead of this retail sales report too. Yeah, I kind of switched on this one, but it's very small. I could wait for the 900 bounce, but I'm going to keep it pretty tight, I think, here. I'm going to let it battle the 200 exponential. We dipped under the 200 EMA, so that's the only reason I didn't take it. Too risky, I think. We're kind of flat now. We'll see what happens. I mean, a couple things. Like, we're right ahead of the 200, and we made like $500 on this account yesterday. I think it was on this account. So we had a very good day yesterday. All right, we're in the green a little bit now. Let's see if it holds. All right, look at Amazon still pushing up though. So Amazon up. We're now back to green on this one. Let's see if it holds though. Amazon's been up for the last few days. There's a lawsuit for Roblox. What kind of lawsuit? Explain it. I didn't hear that. Moran says the Fed is independent and president has a right to be opine. I'm assuming they mean opinion, but I think here. Oh, opine is hold in state as one's opinion. I'm gonna start using that word. Oh yeah, okay. All right, we're flat here, but we're starting to creep up, so. AMD was up a lot yesterday, did it? Yeah, it came all the way back down. It's kind of flat now over the last 2 days. Don't copy me, Rusty. I appreciate the donations, but do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional, sir. I'm not liable if you lose. Understand all the stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Don't do it. Don't copy me. Understand all the stuff. Yeah, we're just about to cut this trade, though, if it pushes up anymore. We'll give it a second to test, but kind of a flat trade. It's not really, we're not really down too much. AMD trying to go green on the day, though. We see some strengths in microchips coming in. Depends on what you guys think this retail sales data is going to show. It's expected at 0.5%. We're going to cover it as soon as it drops. We also have like industrial production at 9:15. Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations at 10. Got some stuff going on. People are saying the shirt's impacting my mic. It's not. It's this big rainbow mic that I have here, which apparently is not, the software is not registering here. I can open the software, but apparently it doesn't read my mic. Wait. Oh, there it is. Gonna change colors for me, sir? Okay. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. All right, that's much better. Yeah, again, I've talked about the mic enough, but again, the mic is genius. I'm not even mad at this company. You know, ingenuity, I'm not even mad at them. They had a good business plan, and it worked. All right. The problem is it distracted me from getting out the trade at my risk. We got out basically at my risk level, but it might turn around. Again, I'm gonna probably just wait for retail sales data. But again, they're like, hey, we're gonna make the mic a rainbow color. And the only way the person that buys the mic can change it from a rainbow color is to download our software. Smart. Can't get mad. I can't get mad. And thank you, Rusty. Thank you for the donation, brother. Thank you so much. Yeah, Mike, the greatest investor of all time. Yeah, I'm trading futures right now, which is like futures market was originally created so you could bet on the future price of commodities, is what it was, right? They called it futures because you were betting on the future price of commodities. Originally, farmers would grow crops, and they would grow crops, and then by the time it came to yield those crops, sometimes they would take out loans in order to, like, loans ahead of the yield of the crops, but the price would fluctuate so much on said crops that it was really hard to maintain good margins and profitability because of the fluctuations in price. And so what they started doing is selling contracts to speculative investors, locking in the yield that they would earn from their crops ahead of time. And so that the speculative investors are the ones with most risk, because if they can, but if they can front load into smart investments, they can make money. And they called these contracts futures contracts because they were betting on the future price of commodities. But eventually the futures market has grown to a point now where I can trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, currencies in some places in futures. And so that's what you see me trading. I'm trading the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 indexes, but I'm trading the futures contract of those indexes. And this is actually what the SPY and the Q track. Like the SPY, the SPY symbol, ETF, it tracks the S&P futures contract. The QQQ, it tracks the NASDAQ futures contract. If you look at the NDX and the SPX, they're not open in pre-market, but the futures contracts of them are. And so that's what the SPY and Q are actually tracking, believe it or not. Retail sales data drops. There might be a timer in the bottom left. Could be. Might be. Will AMAT earnings affect chips today? At least a little bit. I mean, chip stocks are already reacting to it, to be honest. So AMAT, BDPS in revenue, but bad guidance. And yeah, it's down from 180s down to 160s. Very large percentage here. It's a little bit, it's about 20%, right? I've seen Boxable. Boxable is basically like, and you can correct me, I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. Boxable is basically a company that has it produces homes. It's a manufacturer of homes, but the way you set up the homes is very easy. So you don't have to ship some big house. It's like a collapsible / foldable home that you can set up very, very easily. I'm pretty sure that's what Boxable is, right? I saw some of the rounds of funding for them in investment rounds, the earlier investment rounds for Boxable. Honestly, we're turning back after we hit my levels too, which is okay. Again, I'm just gonna wait. We're small loss there. Yeah, tiny homes pre-built. Yeah, smart business model. There's a lot of people trying to do that right now though, but I think Boxable is one of the larger ones. John, I know the stock market is not the economy, but I feel like Wall Street represents the economy more than the NASDAQ. Would you agree? I mean, what do you mean by Wall Street? The NASDAQ is some of the largest companies in the world. It depends on what you mean by Wall Street. Yeah, I've looked at Open. Open's up a lot. gapping up a little bit. Too risky of a stock for me to be interested in, but it's big risk, big reward. You might earn a lot of money from it. You could also lose a lot of money from it. Not so tech heavy. Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think it's all intertwined and connected, but it depends. Yeah, the bond market's where a lot of the movement happens. If you want to know where rates are going and the, you know, bond yields. That's why, like, yesterday when PPI came out, one of the first things we looked at is yields. And of course, they were spiking because of high PPI inflation data. All right, guys. What do we get? We got retail sales data dropping in 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Warren Buffett buying United Health. Shout out to him helping my investment in them. You love to see it. United Health at $300. NASDAQ is getting very flat, very choppy right now. Not even Buffett, it's Burke. Again, Buffett's 90 years old. I don't think Buffett's making any major decision here. I think people who think he is are, I'm not going to say y'all are naive, but no multi-billion-dollar company is going to let a 94-year-old make big company decisions. I promise you they're not. They might try to kind of taper down the expectations of Buffett slowly so that it's not such a big catalyst if Buffett, you know, but they're not going to, you know, I don't think so. Dow? Yeah. Hey, thank you. Oh, Rusty, I missed your donation, brother. Thank you so much for the $20 donation, bro. Sorry, Rusty. Shout out to Rusty for the $20 dono, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. I missed it. I'm sorry. I was probably talking about my mic for some reason. You know, my bad. My apologies. Thank you, Rusty. All right, guys, we're stagnating. We got about 10 minutes left. We got about 1,100 people here watching. We appreciate it. Y'all hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. About 10 minutes left here. We'll see what we get. We got a lot of stuff dropping. We got retail sales. We got New York Empire State Manufacturing dropping simultaneously. It's expected at 120 or negative 120. I mean, so yeah, it's expected at negative 120. Love you. It's expected at negative 120. Retail sales expected at 0.5 to 0.6%. Core retail sales expected at 0.3% today. Those should have an influence over things. Love you, bud. Good day, dude. Love you, man. All right. All right, guys, NVIDIA at 182s. We'll see if it holds. NASDAQ sideways, choppy. Look, here's the range of the NASDAQ here. That's the range right now. We're going to go in like this. Here's the 200 exponential here, too, so the range is even smaller. Why do you think this market is shrugging this off? And by this, I mean, yeah, PPI inflation data. Yeah, I think it's because the rate cut odds haven't changed too much. And I still think the I guess what I see is that people are making the labor report a larger catalyst than the PPI inflation data, is what I think. The labor report, 258,000 jobs revised downward for May and June, and then much weaker than expected July. I think people are putting more weight on that versus PPI. And I think CPI, the more important metric generally, is not as bad as PPI. Right, so I think that is why I don't think they're necessarily shrugging this off. I think it's certainly changing the percentages, at least some. I think that's why they haven't pivoted to a higher likelihood of a pause from this report yesterday. And again, watch like we're gonna stream Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday. We're gonna break it all down live as it happens. That is where most people are gonna pivot their eyes to, right? Like Jackson Hole is where Jerome Powell speaks about current economic state, speaks about rate expectations and potentially, big decisions regarding rates, speaks about the economy and the labor market and hawkish, dovish stance and all that stuff. And so that's going to be next Friday. We're going to stream it all live. That is something that I think is going to massively influence markets. That is the single largest catalyst next week. And really, I think it's the single largest catalyst outside of maybe NVIDIA earnings over the next 2 weeks, is that specifically. And so that's what you want to be ready for. The last week of this month is also going to be incredibly important because the last week of this month, we're going to have, like non-farm payrolls, unemployment, PCE inflation, NVIDIA earnings on the week of the 25th. So that's going to be a pretty major catalyst week too. That might influence rate expectations as well. So just be ready for that. Again, we had the Council of Economic Advisors chair, Moran. He didn't comment on rate cuts as pending. He said overall inflation indices have been very well behaved, and overall, over time, other countries will eat the cost of tariffs. Again, the SEC chair is supposed to talk Project Crypto today at 8:30 as well. All right, chat. 7 minutes. What are the blue lines? They're just kind of handpicked support and resistance zones. The Fed prefers PCE inflation over CPI. So look at this dip here. This is a catalyst-driven move almost certainly. Let's see. Something just happened here. Let's make sure. Yeah, the Fed prefers what's called core PCE, personal consumption expenditure. That's going to drop the last week of this month. Look at this catalyst, though. So I see the president on the Putin meeting says something is going to come of it. They are not doing business until they get the war stopped, is what he said. Trump on trade. I'll be setting tariffs on steels and chips next week. On security guarantees, possible alongside Europe. Okay, so the president on trade said they're going to be setting tariffs on steel and chips next week. Again, President said I'm going to be setting tariffs on steels and chips next week. That's what's dropping the market right now. And we got 6 minutes left, but that's what's going on. Steel and chips next week. Some pretty important sectors here too. Those are pretty big sectors here as well. So y'all just be careful right now. Retail sales report might be in the title of the stream. It might be at the bottom in big yellow letters. It also might be in a scroller or in a timer in the bottom left corner of the stream. I'm not saying it is, but it could be there in multiple different places surrounding this live stream. Good sir. Again, y'all hit the live button next to the play button. If you put it in 2x speed, you'll be caught up. NVIDIA now dropping down on this news about the tariffs. Look at NVIDIA dip after I don't think he's going to be setting tariffs on NVIDIA, though. I think they already got somewhat of a deal done. I think it's going to be on other chip companies, most likely. But NVIDIA's still reacting to it. I might be wrong. All right, guys, hit the live button next to the play button. You might be delayed. Rusty, you might be delayed too. Hit the live button. 4 minutes. What news? Again, the president says they're going to be setting tariffs on steel and chips next week specifically. Again, this is ahead of Jackson Hole. This is ahead of the Fed minutes report. This is ahead of some other stuff that we got going on next week. All right, here we go. 3.5 minutes, chat. 3.5 minutes. Do me a favor, hit the live button. Also, put it in subscribe only mode, or put it in hit the subscribe button. We do this live for free. We don't sell a course. We don't sell a service. We don't claim to be experts. We don't sell a course. We don't sell a service. We don't claim to be experts. Everything we do here is completely free. Don't charge for anything. We have one sponsor that we plug maybe a couple times a stream. Subscribe. Do it now. You know you want to. 3 minutes left, chat. Nasdaq's eating this up though. We're buying it back up. It looks like here. The president on the Putin meeting said, quote, there could be severe consequences. President on steel and chip tariffs says the rate is going to be lower at the beginning. I'll be setting tariffs on steel and chips next week. All right, guys, 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. All right, let's do this. Major shorts. All right, good luck. Here's to you guys. All right, here's the retail sales data we got. Again, we got 2 minutes left. Let me know your prediction. Higher or lower retail sales, and will the market react positive or negatively from this report? Again, will the market react positively or negatively from this? Let me know. President says, quote, Putin's country is not doing well economically, end quote. We got 1 minute and 10 seconds. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. You can also put it in 2x speed. And if you hit the live button and put it in 2x speed, you'll almost always stay up to date. Even if you lag, it'll catch right back up. And so that's why you put it in 2x speed. I won't sound like a chipmunk for very long if you're in real time. Positive, lower, negative reaction, new highs today, market spike. Structure. All right. Yeah, let's see. Less than a minute, guys. We got about 45 seconds. This timer's a little bit early. A little bit early. We got about 35 seconds. Hey, thank you, Drez. No, it's not leaked data. We're going down after the president said he's going to put tariffs on steel and microchips next week. 20 seconds. That's why the market negatively reacted short term. All right, guys, here we go. About 10 seconds left. 10 seconds. Let's see what we get. It's Thursday. Or no, it's Friday. I mean, all right, here we go. Retail sales data drops right now. Okay, guys, so Empire State Manufacturing 11.9 versus negative 1.2. 11.9 versus negative 1.2. Retail sales for core showed up at 0.3% as expected. Regular retail sales showed up basically as expected at 0.5%. So mostly flat. 0.5% for retail sales. Again, 0.5% retail sales versus about 0.5% expected. As expected, core retail sales showed month over month. Core retail sales 0.3% versus 0.3% expected. So basically flat data here. It wasn't really big. The market's up though on this report. Not a lot, but it's up a little bit here. Now we're retracing back down. But again, as expected, retail sales almost all everywhere. The import-export price index, import price index showed 0.4% versus 0.1%. And again, the biggest change from expectations was the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index. It showed up at 11.9 versus negative 1.2 expected. 11.9 versus negative 1.2 expected, showing a much stronger. Oh my gosh, dude. My wife, I love her. She has the worst timing ever. Again, as expected, the president said tariffs on chips will be lower at the beginning. But again, the NASDAQ has mostly reacted positively on this report. Retail sales showed basically flat at 0.5 versus 0.5%. Core retail sales showed as expected at 0.3% versus 0.3% expected. Empire State Manufacturing Index showed 11.9 versus negative 1.2 expected. So way better than expected in Empire State Manufacturing data. And if we take a look at this retail sales report here, chat, advanced estimates for retail sales for retail and food services sales for July, 726.3 billion, up 0.5% plus 0.4% from the previous month, and up 3.9%, which is 0.5% from July. Total sales for May through July period were up 3.9%, which is up 0.4% from the same period a year ago. And the May 25 to June 25% change was revised from 0.6% up to 0.9%, so stronger than expected. Retail sales were up 0.7% from June 2025 and up 3.7%, which is 0.5% increase from last year. Non-store retailers were up 8% versus last year, and while food and services and drinking places were up 5.6%, which is up 1.8% from July. So overall, I would say stronger than expected slightly here. NASDAQ has slightly reacted positively to this. Gold is down a little bit based off of this report. And yeah, that's basically what we got today for retail sales. Now, don't go anywhere because we also have a ton of other data coming out today. We have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. We got industrial production data at 9:15 market time as well. And we'll put this data on screen. But we also have the president saying, quote, China is not doing well economically. Again, retail sales 0.5% is what we're showing here, 0.5%. Core retail sales showed up at 0.3% versus 0.3%, previous 0.5, revised to 0.8. What do you guys think of this report? Good or bad? My wife is a hairstylist. The products are adding tariffs, so she has to pay the tariffs. Yeah, they're going to get passed on to consumers a lot of the time. All right, let's watch 23.9, but the data is out already. Yeah, my wife bugging me right now. Right at 8:32. 8:30 text coming in. I mean, she doesn't want my dogs to eat the contractors that we have over here right now. And so she's like, yo, you better make sure the dogs are inside. Which they are. So I guess a justifiable one. But still. I don't agree with the numbers, therefore they are. Yeah. Your revisions were higher. Yeah, I would say this is kind of flat. Greetings from Geneva. Thanks for all you do. You have more faith in a rate cutter. Hamzat getting the job done before. Bro, I got more faith that Hamzat's going to beat DDP over everything else. I'm not betting against Hamzat. Honestly, though, Drickus, I've thought he was going to lose a couple times. He throws helicopter punches. I never think he's going to win, and then he does somehow, you know? And so I can't really bet against him either, but I still think Hamzat's Hamzat. I don't bet against the Russians in MMA. I just don't. I'm not going to do it. But anyways, let's test this 23,009 level here. Nvidia trying to go green on the day. Gold bounced all the way back up. And so It could be on some of these quotes coming from the press. All right, so traders are trimming bets on Fed rate cuts. If we take a look at rate cut odds, yields are probably going to go down, or no, up from this report, because it showed a little bit stronger economics than expected here. And so I'm assuming yields, if you want to see what like rate odds are doing short term, you can look at yields. And yeah, yields are up a little bit. They're at 4.3% right now, which is elevated from this report. You can see here, let me stretch this over here. Like, look at yields spike up at 8:30. Here's 8:30, and then yields are up on this report some too. So Nasdaq's very flat, very muted, boring. Bro, my dogs are barking up a storm right now, and if you guys can't hear them, this mic is doing the job. But yeah, yields are spiking up right now. Can y'all hear the dogs? I've got 2 German Shepherds. No, somebody said, did you see DDP pick up Daniel Cormier? You're talking about, did I see Hamzat pick up Daniel Cormier? Hamzat is the one that picked, he body locked Cormier, and then he spun him around like 5 times. I didn't see Drickus do it at all, but. Okay, good. If y'all can't hear the dogs, my mic's doing its job because they're freaking out right now. They're saying intruder. Yeah, it's probably if I'm speaking, the mic starts to pick up, like right now. You might be able to hear them bark. But if I'm not speaking, the dogs. Yeah. Yeah, that's because I have a... All right. Yeah, yields are spiking up. Nasdaq's coming down a little bit. I don't know if this is going to influence odds, but yeah, I mean, outside of the rainbow color, great mic outside of the rainbow color. All right, Nasdaq is flushing down here. I'm assuming this is on the president's words here. So the Fed's Goolsbee says latest PPI and CPI data has a note of unease. Still another inflation report to figure out if we're still on the golden path. And what he's referencing is the PCE inflation report that drops at the end of this month. We've talked about this many times. The Fed prefers specifically core PCE, which is the personal consumption expenditure report and index. It drops at the end of this month, on the last week of this month, along with Nvidia earnings. Non-farm payrolls the next week. We got Nvidia earnings, GDP data, PCE data at the end of this month. Is going to be a big catalyst. All right, guys, so we're pushing up a little bit here. Also, guys, y'all check out Top Step. If you want to help support the channel, check out Top Step. Top Step is great. Limits your risk if you're learning how to day trade. And most day traders lose money. And so if you fund your own account tens of thousands of dollars, you're probably going to lose day trading. Almost all day traders do. It makes no sense to do that. You're probably going to lose. You can try to look cool. You're probably going to lose your account. Makes no sense. Instead, try Top Step. $50 a month for the base one. If you pass the test, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K, and that's pretty similar to funding your own account. If you fail, you lose $50. It's the best of both worlds. They pay out millions and millions of dollars. They fund thousands. Their new dashboard allows you to track payouts quickly, activate funded accounts as soon as you pass it, and so much more. It's really, really a great option, and it's just a great way to learn how to trade. Most day traders lose money, and so it makes no sense to fund your own account. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself this when I first started day trading. Because again, I thought I was going to be some day trading guru. Very quickly, I lost 4 or 5K within a couple weeks. I wish I had something like this when I first got started. If you want to check it out, they are a sponsor of mine. I get paid by them. I'm top 3 most biased person ever. genuinely useful for traders. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. I can't guarantee anything, but I'll put the link up. You can help support the channel, and yeah, we'll pin it to the top of the chat. Yeah, I mean, look, people try to hate, but the reality of it is, what's the better option? You think the better option is funding your own account and doing that? Of course not. Of course not. I mean, it's subjective, I guess, but I think most people are going to agree, like, don't fund your own account 5, 10, 15K, especially not to get around the PDT rule. Futures market gets you around the PDT rule as well. There's just a lot of benefits for it. All right, so again, the president has said China is not doing well economically. Goolsbee says, let's not overreact to 1 month of PPI and CPI import prices, but an area of concern. Need another inflation report to see if it's on track. Still see another inflation report to figure out if it's still on the golden path. And the latest PPI and CPI data does have a note of unease. Inflation picture has been mixed. So do you like Workaholics? I love Workaholics, bro. I watched that show for a long time. I saw you post the Workaholics GIF. And it's GIF, not GIF. You're welcome. Yeah, market's very flat right now. I mean, look. Data showed up here. And we are up, down, on this report. So market is interpreting this as flat, as it is. I mean, retail sales data was essentially flat. The only thing that wasn't really flat was the New York manufacturing, the Empire State Manufacturing Index. And that was like much stronger for manufacturing than expected. But it's not really a huge report that's going to influence things, I think. Yeah. Hey, congrats, Liddy. Yeah. That's right, Eric. Yes, sir. Great show, honestly, great show. All right, guys, Nvidia starting to climb up, technically green on the day. Gold popped up a little bit as well, but gold's kind of muted over the last few days. It's down a little bit, actually. We have some microchip weakness, but United Health got bought up by Berkshire Hathaway. It's up to around $300 a share. Other stocks are down, like Applied Materials is down. AMAT is down a pretty big amount from like 190 to 160. A very large percentage decrease there. About a 15% drop for AMAT, very large. I'm not really a big yeah, I don't know much about CRDO, to be honest, Pew. REAX is too cheap for me, and so I'm not really messing with that one either, brother. Sorry. ELTR, yeah, it's dipping down. We're at 179.50s here. Amazon's moving up a little bit as well. Tariffs on metal should not have affected that much either, and it did. Yeah, I'm looking at metal now. Yeah, I mean, copper's up a little bit on the higher tariffs. Silver's actually flat. Gold's up a lot on this news, maybe. No steel futures. Oh, really? All right, so we're very flat though from this report in the NASDAQ here. CoreWeave is down a lot. It's kind of an AI data stock, but it's been down over the last few days. It almost makes me want to buy it though, but it's probably reacting to the chip tariffs. It's an AI company, so we'll see. Should be bullish data coming in on the manufacturing, but okay. Yeah, I mean, the manufacturing is not that weighted, though. I mean, not a lot of people watch the Empire State Manufacturing Index. Like, listen, before almost everybody else, you know, you see a trend now of all these channels trying to cover CPI and PPI and jobless claims and unemployment and all this different stuff. I've been covering this stuff for years, literal years. And so I know which ones have a big influence and which ones don't. The biggest influencing things, it depends on the context of the market, of course, but the biggest influencing ones are going to have to do with rates when it's polarized, right? Like, what influences rates when it's polarized? An example of this is like if it's looking really hawkish and the market fears hawkishness by the Federal Reserve, or if inflation is a big risk and the market fears high inflation, strong economics might make the market react negatively. And so in that situation, GDP might be important. The non-farm payroll and labor report is going to be very important, because if it shows like really strong payrolls, that might make the market freak out and dump, right? And vice versa, if we are low inflation but weak economics, the same things matter. I would say CPI is very important. Fed rate decisions, especially when it's back and forth between the odds, is very important. Like September's meeting is going to be incredibly important. But I would say the list of like weight goes, I would say it goes for like Fed decisions and Jerome Powell at the top that influences things, followed by like CPI. Maybe I would say followed by maybe the non-farm payroll report, followed by CPI, followed by ECE, you know, followed by GDP, followed by jobless claims. Is probably the list of like influence at the top, down to jobless claims or something like that, right? Like those are the really important ones. Everything else, retail sales is important in this context, but you can see it really didn't move markets that much. Jackson Hole Symposium next week is incredibly important. Nvidia earnings might be somewhere at the top of that too, but it's not really economic reports. Who said 70? Fed watch will just drop rate cut probabilities to the upper 70s just now. Oh, he said 70s. Let's see who's right. Yeah, it's at 88.6% is what I'm showing right now. 88.6%. This is what I'm showing is 88.6 right now. 11.4% chance of a pause. So, and again, you can watch yields. If you want to look at a symbol for yields, you go to TNX here, CGI. This is 10-year treasury yields. You move the decimal place over to the left and it'll give you the actual yield rate. So this would be 4.29% for yields is where we currently are. Although we're kind of mixed here. Like we had the data show up at 7:30 right here, and we're actually down a little bit from this data. So we had some revisions upward for retail sales though. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, all good. Yeah, all good, Lee. I'm not judging you. It's all good, bro. Yeah, I mean, by October, we're looking at almost 98% likely of some type of cut by October. 56% chance likelihood that we're going to get a 50 basis point cut by October, maybe 25, and then another 25 in October. You know, still 40%, 41% chance that we only get one rate cut, 25 basis points. This is 50. This is a pause. So that's what we're looking at as of now here. John, do you believe in the full moon and new moon cycle? Charts fall going into a new moon and rise going into the full moon. Explain that a little bit more. OpenAI is planning to fund a brain-computer interface startup to rival Neuralink. Okay, so Fed's Goolsby did say if we get a hint for September or later in the fall that we are not in an inflationary spiral, we can cut rates. All right, so again, we're very flat right now, very, very stagnant. Not really doing much. Inflation up, people can't afford daily life. Bro, I swear, Lenny. I don't know why it deletes that comment, Lenny. It's not me, bro. I really don't know why it does it. I'm sorry, dude. What's the deal with everyone expecting a huge crash in September? It's a background narrative. There's always a narrative of a big crash. Most of the time it's centered. Sometimes it's accurate. Look at that level hold, that 23.9 level. Again, sometimes it's accurate. A lot of the times what the crash narrative is, though, is that like the market's gone up a lot in 3 years. And sometimes like big banks, you know, Michael Burry, others have told traders not to buy, and then we got one of the biggest bull runs over a few year period, and a lot of traders miss out on that, and so they have kind of like confirmation bias that it's not going to hold and that it's going to come back down because they want to justify missing out of it in their minds, right? Like that's the psychological that's what I see psychologically a lot of the time. And so what does that mean? That means people overpredict crashes, they overpredict corrections. But to go to the other side a little bit, sometimes it's accurate, and sometimes we do need to correct and do need to go back down. The issue, though, is that I would say most of the time when we're at all-time highs, we keep pushing up. You know, just because we're at all-time highs doesn't mean we need to correct. And if anything, we saw a big correction back in April. Anyways, we dropped 25% in the NASDAQ in April. And then we got bought right back up, and now we're back to highs. And so that doesn't mean we need to crash again. On the other end of it, though, September is a month that is very well known. It's called the September slump. It doesn't always happen, but generally I think we actually we have a net negative percentage for September on average, which means that like on average we go down in September, but it certainly doesn't happen every time. This is just generally we go down. It's called the September slump. August can be bad too, but it depends. Yeah, and the bigger issue is that everybody watches the movie Big Short, and I love the Big Short movie. Great movie. It's really the movie that got me into finance, believe it or not. So I watched the Big Short, freaking loved it. Got, you know, decided to start learning about stuff. That's the movie that sparked it for me, was the Big Short. Came out in 2014. But with that said, people romanticize predicting market crashes too much after the Big Short. It's so difficult to predict a market crash accurately that they make movies about the people who do. But everybody romanticizes that a little bit too much, I think, and that makes people overpredict market crashes. Because again, I've been streaming for years and years and years. So many people get it wrong. So many people push and push for market crashes, and then if you don't agree with them, they get toxic. Like everybody wants to be the next big market crash predictor, but usually they're not. And maybe sometimes they are, but that's why you see like influencers predicting market crashes and then the market goes up and everybody gets mad at them. because they're trying to do the same thing. They want to be like, aha, I told you so. I predicted this market crash. But a market crash is much more rare than people realize. It's not going to happen every year, you know. But somehow you got people predicting crashes every single year without fail. So, does the market crash next year, this year? Let me know in chat right now. I want to hear it. Let's see it. Circle's been dumping down from 260s down to 138. But, I mean, this is a relatively new IPO. This is why I don't play IPOs, guys. They're too volatile. The meetings today. Yeah, the meeting with the president and Russian president is today. All right, so somehow rates for a September cut, expectations by the market are back up to about 95 to 5% likelihood of a September cut now. 95 to 5% likely. All right, sorry. Concentrate better with a gummy. Hey, live your life, bro. I'm not judging you for it. Not me, though. You know. Would you consider the tariff scare from 4 months ago a crash? It's somewhere in the middle. I would call it like a flash crash. I mean, generally people consider a crash over 20%. And the NASDAQ dropped 25%, 26%, 24%, something like that, right? So in terms of percentages, you could consider it one, and you might not necessarily be wrong. But we rebounded very quick, which is abnormal. It's kind of like the 2021. The 2020 crash, we went down very big percentage, and then we got bought back up quickly. Same thing. And so I'd consider it a flash crash. It wasn't a longer term crash like 2008 or 2001 or even like 1987. We were back up within a year or two from 1987, but we were back up within like a month or two after this last one. So I mean, yeah, it depends on what you consider. I would consider it a minor correction or a flash crash, but I don't think I don't think it'll be considered an actual crash long term. The main characters of the message of The Big Short was about greed and morality. No, I understand. I love The Big Short movie. You know, I made a short a long time ago about The Wolf of Wall Street and the irony that I see from The Wolf of Wall Street with, like, Leonardo DiCaprio played in The Wolf of Wall Street. He considers Jordan Belfort one of the worst people ever. But the irony is that he created a movie that created about 1 million Jordan Belfort clones. And so even though The Wolf of Wall Street is a movie about fraud and morality and, you know, how to not be like Jordan Belfort, the irony is that the consequence of that movie was that people get deeply inspired and motivated by The Wolf of Wall Street, and they end up wanting to be like Jordan Belfort, which contradicts the entire, like, overarching point of the movie. And so, you know, yeah. Do you think we're in a bull market? I don't know. I mean, we're at all-time highs, so probably. All right, here's the NASDAQ breaking down. We're at 23,009. Did I lose audio? Did I get cut off there? Let me know if I did. All right, so we're still bouncing. Look at this bounce, 23.9. I'm not really trading this. It's too risky. All right, guys. What's the peace deal happening? The president and Putin are meeting today for like hours. All right, we're good. All right, cool. Why do you like to track the NASDAQ over the SPY? I track both of them. I trade the NASDAQ because it has more volatility generally than like the S&P 500 futures, which is what the SPY tracks, right? The range is larger than the NASDAQ. There's more volatility. And so that's what I trade more. But I watch both of them. I watch all of them. Gold climbing up a little bit. So we got industrial production numbers coming out in 15 minutes, 13 minutes or so. Not really the biggest report, but it's something. And again, I'll talk about this again. I've talked about this every day, but I think it's really an important thing for people to understand. Is that generally speaking, the S&P, NASDAQ, and Dow are going to move up over time. You don't want to you don't want to bet against 10% average gains a year over a century. 8 to 10%, I should say, over like a century. 8 to 10% average gains, including crashes, is a pretty big edge. That's one of the biggest statistical edge the market gives you. I'm not going to bet against that and try to top pick the market. Most of the time, the market's going to keep going up. And if we're talking decades, it's incredibly consistent on the upside. You're like, the longer you hold it, the more probable you are to make money. And the opposite is true for shorts. The longer you hold shorts in the biggest indices, and the less likely you are to make money from it. And so you don't want to fall into that sucker trap of trying to predict crashes, shorting the healthiest assets in the world. It just doesn't make any logical sense. And we might crash tomorrow. Like, I'm not saying crashes don't happen. They're very difficult to time. And most of the time, if you're shorting big like stuff long term, it's a sucker's bet. You know, most of the time. Not always, though. Yeah, the FOMC meeting next month is going to be crazy because that's where we're really going to see. It depends on what Powell says, though, at Jackson Hole next week. That's going to matter a lot. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that would suck to crash on a Saturday. That's true. We might crash Monday. We might crash today. I don't know. I'm not going to try to top pick the market, though. I'll just buy it when it does crash. Those are the people who usually get out like bandits. Like, those are the people that usually do the best. People who average in on the crashes, they do very, very well. Usually, people who get emotional and sell and get scared, they're the ones that do the worst on crashes. And so, time heals a lot of wounds in the stock market. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, Roblox. Roblox is up so much, though, bro. Here's a yearly chart for Roblox. You know? Even if Roblox is like right here now or wherever it's at, Roblox is still doing this since the start of this year. It's a very large gain for Roblox. Not like Roblox is going out of business. Like, look. Down to 114s. That is right here. The Roblox is essentially right. Not the weakest looking chart in the world, I'll put it that way. Alright, we're at 23.9s. Yeah, I know there's controversy. Ugh. Alright. we're back up to that 200 exponential. The NASDAQ is so sideways today for Friday. Y'all just be careful. Amazon pushing up. Roblox is down. Nvidia slightly green. Gold is up a little bit, slightly green. United Health is up big after Berkshire Hathaway investment. Should probably go play pickleball. Pickleball honestly looks like a lot of fun. I want to play it. I think I would like playing it, but I've never actually played it. All right, we're at 23,908 right now. 23,908. All right, guys. So we got 23 minutes left until the opening bell. We're so flat right now, though, man. Look at this drop. What a turn. The 23.9 level still holding up, though, that we got on our charts here. Look at that. So just be careful, man. As a former tennis player, I can't see myself getting into pickleball at all. Bro, it's tennis for older people. That's what pickleball is. It's less athletic tennis. You know? All right, look at this drop here. This might be, not saying that's you, pawn, but I'm just saying generally you have to move. It's tennis, but you have to move less. Governor Bowman will deliver a speech titled Economic Outlook and Community Banking at 12:15 Eastern Time. Y'all be ready. See if there's any other big news causing this dip. Open Door announced a CEO search. Harry Wheeler's going to step down. Zelensky speaking, he said vital summit opens up path towards peace. We are counting on the U.S. Alaska talk should pave way for peace. I'm for peace. Obviously. Or retail sales are already out. They showed up as expected, I think, at or retail sales showed up at 0.3% versus expected 0.3%. I don't know. I see it kind of like jiu-jitsu regarding pickleball. Like, I trade jiu-jitsu regularly, right? And I'm in my 30s. I know one day I'm going to be too... I mean, I don't know, bro. One of my coaches is like 60-year-old black belt, and he's still pretty competitive, you know? Maybe I'll just get on TRT and everybody will hate me. That's maybe the move too. But anyways, I would assume like as I get older, I'm gonna be able to do it worse and worse. Powell speaks next Friday for the Jackson Hole Symposium. Next Friday. Yeah, I'm in my 30s. I still do well. You know, I'm a blue belt in BJJ. I still do pretty good. I mean, am I the greatest ever? No. But We got a white belt at my gym. He's like this big freaking 6 something. He's like 6'7" or something crazy. His arms are like freaking tree trunks. Dude. He's gotta be like 260. Not fat at all, but he's like 260. I can usually still like, and he's younger too, and so I can usually still do pretty solid versus him as like a 180-pound blue belt. You know? If I was like 50 or 60 though, I don't know if I'd be able to. All right, guys, we're dropping down. United Health hitting that volume weighted average price. Circle is trying to go green on the day. It looks like Nvidia's fading down a little bit too. I think some of this drop has to do with Nvidia falling back down a little bit. Yeah. Hey, nice, Liddy. Hey, what's up, Rich? All right, we're at 894s. I personally don't think rate cuts are way off. Or I personally think rate cuts are way off. Who comes up with those numbers? You talking about the CME watch tool? That's the market. That's their bet. As we get closer to the September meeting, it'll become more accurate. Hey guys, we got industrial production numbers and capacity utilization numbers coming out in 2 minutes. I don't think these are moving markets. These are not really weighted. Industrial production is the bigger one. It's expected at 0% versus 0.3% month over month for July. So we'll see what the industrial production numbers show up. It might be some relevance, especially like some correlation between PPI data. But we'll see. Hey, what's up, Justin? Thanks, sir. Yeah, that's why I always say you can look at bonds originally if you want to see what the Fed watch tool is going to do. Bond yields are actually down a little bit from this report from retail sales, though. All right, we got a minute left. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin wants rate cuts. That's been a pretty big story for Bitcoin is they want rate cuts, right? That's why Bitcoin's been pushing up since the labor report. It just means a higher probability of rate cuts, but then the PPI numbers kind of bumped it down some. All right, we'll see what, again, industrial production numbers show up in about 45 seconds. 45 seconds. And then we got Michigan data coming out at 10 a.m. in about 45 minutes. Do you think the news on the interest in Intel would affect Nvidia and AMD? Probably not. Probably not, but maybe. You never know. All right, here we go, guys. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Expected at 0%. Again, expected at 0%. And here we go. All right, here's the report right now for industrial production numbers. Not as fast or real time as any other big report for the most part. It's a little bit slower reaction here for industrial production numbers. I don't think they've updated it yet. Okay, there we go. It's negative 0.1%. Negative 0.1% for industrial production. Capacity utilization showed basically as expected at 77.5%. Both of these were slightly lower than expected. Slightly lower than expected at negative 0.1% for industrial production and 77.5% for capacity utilization for July at 77.6% expected. 77.5 showed up. Industrial production expected 0%. They came in at negative 0.1. So a little bit weaker than expected production numbers here. NASDAQ is down a little bit on this, but it could also just be rejecting 23.9. All-time highs today? I don't know. Here, let's do another poll. What's a good poll right now, chat? Let me know. Give me some options. Yeah, I'm into crypto. I mean, I'm in Bitcoin, XRP, Dogecoin, some other stuff. Yeah, is today a red or green day? Star Wars versus Star Trek. I mean, for somebody that likes both of them a little bit, Star Wars is definitely better, though. I mean, I don't know. Star Trek... Star Wars has a softer place in my heart than Star Trek. But you could also argue the Star Trek movies are better, you know? It depends. They haven't made one in a while. Anyways, does the market close red or green today? What was our earlier poll? How about are you bullish or bear for the opening bell is a better option? Are you a golfer? I mean, no. Anytime I try to hit a golf ball, baseball instincts kick in. So I can drive a ball pretty far, but I can't put it anywhere near where I'm trying to go, you know? All right, so we're back up at the NASDAQ, very flat. Gold's starting to break down a little bit. Yeah, that's basically me pawing for sure. Mag 7 and United Health decide where we end, green or red. Yeah, maybe. NASDAQ pushing over the 200 exponential here. Very choppy though. We got 11 minutes left until the market opens. I like ping pong now. Hey, thank you, Victor. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you, sir. Memory is the second thing that goes. I've got pretty good memory, but I don't know. They say some activities make you more resilient towards it. They say actually jujitsu helps avoid dementia as you get older, believe it or not. My guess is because it's actually kind of like a thinking sport. Like, the faster you can make good decisions, the better you are. And so, you know, I think it's just because it makes you kind of stay on point mentally if you're going to keep training. I think the ones that have the biggest cognitive declines are ones that, I'm not going to say they get lazy as they get older, but they certainly do less brain-intensive things. And they just kind of sit around watching TV or whatever it is. And those are usually the ones that decline faster and faster, I think. But who knows, man? Yeah, that's absolutely true, Max. Could be survivorship bias, 100%. Which is essentially that the ones that have the cognitive decline aren't going to train jujitsu anyway, right? So very true. Yeah, being in a state of continuous problem solving is essentially what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Yeah, I like chess. I'm a big poker player. I love poker. I like strategy games. Nvidia to 185. I don't know. Nvidia's been kind of flat the last couple days. Look how flat Nvidia is. Here's Nvidia for the last week and a half. Nvidia's done this. So it's not really moving. It's very sideways. I don't like the market is today, but zoom out for like a week and that's Nvidia. So Nvidia's not really moving. Yeah, I heard hearing makes a lot of it makes a big role. Which makes sense too, because like for the last couple weeks I've had to wear headgear when I trained because of because my ears started to get cauliflower-y, and so I had to like wear headgear so I don't, you know, look like Joe Lozon. Hearing actually affects you a lot more. Like when I rolled with the headgear on it, I couldn't hear anything. It actually threw me off a little bit. Like it's harder to, like hearing plays a big role in jiu-jitsu, believe it or not. You wouldn't think it would, but it kind of throws off your sense of balance. All right, anyways, NASDAQ's pushing up. We're at 23.9s, 23.9s. I wonder how many people are Googling Joe Lozon. No. United Health dipping down. We're at 302s. NASDAQ's still pushing up, though. Again, NVIDIA fighting its way back up, but it's still pretty flat. Hasn't really done much. Small little bounce there. Amazon's still very strong. United Health rebounding back up over the last, like, 10 minutes. I don't want cauliflower ear, bro. All right, NASDAQ dipping down. We're still very sideways. We're just... we got Michigan consumer sentiment data at 10 a.m. chat, so that's important to watch. United Health turnaround. I bought the dip, man. Again, it's just extension. Like, people always tend to think companies are just going to fail and go bankrupt, and they almost never do, especially big companies like this. You know how much big money's behind United Health? So if it drops 60%, Berkshire Hathaway understands, you know. Easy dip buy. I mean, you take sizing, that's not gonna like risk your portfolio, but you know, something drops that much, I think it's an easy buy. We talked about it a lot on the stream. Nvidia's still coming down though. It's dragging the NASDAQ down here. Let's see if there's any news. All right, so JP Morgan says payroll revisions not worsening. They say the BLS payroll revision, despite the recent 260,000 downward change from May and June, haven't trended higher over time and have generally declined since the 1990s. Since the 90s, bro? I mean, why does that? I mean, sure, but are we really looking at the last 35 years? Except during disruptions like 2020 or 2008, revisions often come in streaks of gains or losses, but aren't tied to business cycle and are usually smaller than those for other key indicators. So, yeah, I don't know why Nightbot doesn't like you either, Rhombus. Sorry, bro. Generally, he's doing a lot of work in that sentence. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we're towards the bottom end of the range, but we're bouncing up quickly here ahead of the opening bell in 3.5 minutes. All All right, again, Nvidia heading down. We're at 182s right now, 182s. Yo, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. We're up to 895s here on the NASDAQ. Still choppy, though. I'm going to wait for the opening bell. I just don't see much edge right now. We did a poll this morning about the opening bell. 57% are bullish, 43%. Yeah, a lot of people are waiting for the foreign policy update regarding the meeting between the two presidents today in Alaska. The New York Post just posted, quote, Hillary Clinton admits she would nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize if he helps end the war in Ukraine, end quote. What a world we're in right now. All right, guys, NASDAQ is pushing up 2 minutes into the open. Again, I'm not even saying anything about this. I just think it's a very funny headline from New York Post. I don't even know if that's true or not. I'm just looking at the New York Post and, you know. I don't even know which side the New York Post is on. I'm assuming they're on the right, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know if they're in the meeting yet. I think the meeting starts later regarding them. All right, guys, NASDAQ is up, though. I don't see any breaking news either. Yeah, okay, so I just thought it is. Intel ripping up. Recently, Intel's been wild. There was a crypto announcement, specifically the SEC chair was talking crypto this morning. I have to figure out what he said, but yeah, there was some crypto news. Chat, help me out with the crypto news. There's the opening bell. All right, we'll see what we get. All right, NASDAQ is turning red at the open. Yeah, I don't even know if that's true or not. Again, I looked at the news release, and again, I don't follow politics. I really don't. So I don't really know about any of that stuff. I follow it in terms of economic influence. That's it. NASDAQ breaking down though at the opening bell. Nvidia falling, Amazon falling. Looks weak. Let's see what we get. We got Michigan consumer sentiment data going live at 10 a.m. as well, chat, so just be careful. United Health dipping down some too. Nvidia bouncing some now though. Apple's up since the opening bell, but it's kind of pulling back now. Meta's kind of flat. Microsoft is down. Everything else is kind of flat that I'm showing. I gotta wait a couple minutes and let this play out first though. All right, look at this breakdown here in the NASDAQ. We just hit 850. Amazon's creeping up. Look at that bounce. Right on the nose there. I mean, it's gonna hold, but top 3 levelers in the world right now. Can't speak. Felt like Neo from the Matrix. Google coming up. We're at 205. Amazon at 233.40s. Look at that bounce. I should have bought it. Should have bought my level there. We were on that. I gotta wait. I can't. We're too close to the opening bell for me to do it, but still. Amazon breaking highs of the day up to 233.70s. Nvidia trending down but slightly. United Health is down. Google's ripping up right now. Alright, so we gotta wait. I missed my level. Now we're kind of flat. Amazon dipping down after testing 234s. I'm not going to attack the retest here, though. I got to just wait. Intel shares are up almost 4%. Are they still up? No. Down since the open. Nvidia down. Has had no green candle since the open except for the current one it's on. Gold still flat on the day. Ugh. GameStop is trending. Up a little bit, but the liquidity's so low for these right now. United Health starting to rip back up though. I want to buy this. I'm going to try to buy a little bit here. Got an easy risk level up there. I can just add to this. I'm gonna take it off right there and just lock in the profit. We made like 10, 20 ticks right there, so. I think it's too big of a chance that we chop sideways and come back down to 850, but I might miss out on some gains too. I'll buy this again, actually. I like that retracement. Get out here. All right. Very quick trades there just because one of the things you'll see me do a lot when I'm scalping is if we have like, if we go up big and then retrace all the way down in one specific candle and the candle looks like this, I'll buy it like here. And then I'll try to ride a fill of it. A lot of the time it'll at least fill half of that candle or more like that, like it just did. And I can get a really quick scalp. And so that's kind of what happened there. I'm not confident enough in it to ride it up long term. I think we might chop back down to 850s here now, but I wanted to just ride it up, if that makes sense. Again, check out Top Step. Great way to help support the channel. No PDT and futures. You day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, some currencies. Get you around the PDT rule. Your risk is $50 or $100 for the middle one, or $150 for the top one. You pass the 50K one, it's $50 a month. You pass the 100K one, it's $100 a month. Or if you pass the $50 one, you get 50K in funding. If you pass the $100 one, it's 100K in funding, is what I meant to say. No PDT rule, get you around the PDT rule. Great way to learn how to day trade. They pay out millions, fund thousands. It's just a good way to limit your risk. You're still probably going to lose day trading, but most day traders lose regardless of where they go, including here. It's a lot cheaper to lose here than it is to fund your own account 5, 10, 20, 30 grand. And it just makes sense. It limits your risk. It's a beautiful middle ground of pressure where you're risking something. You're not risking 5 grand, 10 grand per account like you do funding your own account. And so it's a perfect middle ground to learn, build skills as a day trader. They're a sponsor of mine, though. You want to confirm it all with them. I can't guarantee anything. I'm biased in their favor because I get paid by them. And so you want to check them out, but I understand all the stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'll put the link up if you want to check them out. All right, we're kind of stagnating here ahead of the Michigan data. We did come back down. I thought we would come back down a little bit here. So it looks like I got out right at the top. And I think this is how you kind of have to trade chop. Did that rhyme? Let's watch 850 again. We bounced once. Yeah, I mean, the liquidity's low today. We're not really moving a lot. We might move a lot when more news comes out later on today regarding what happened in Alaska, but that's the biggest catalyst moving forward. We also have Bowman speaking, who's usually pretty dovish. The Bowman speaking today, and so we'll see if that moves things or not. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to influence things. I mean, I know it's going to influence things, but I don't know if that's why we're down. I think we'll probably chop today. Get down to 825, I might buy that. But I got to just wait, I think. Make sure we don't have anything coming out at 9.5. Yeah, so... We get the Atlanta Fed GDP now today. It's expected at 2.5%. But, all right, we're trying. We're at 848 now. United Health is all the way back up to the opening bell high. So, I might buy this. I'm gonna buy this, see if we rebound back up. Bought up. I See some other stuff strong, so maybe I should have waited till 825 hit, but I'll add to this. Basically flat on the day, so we can take a little bit of risk now. We haven't really taken any risk all day, so. Okay. Yep. Hold the rest break even now. Nicely green on the day. We're gonna cut it right there at that level. All right, so far so good. Little scalps. Not really getting anything I like majorly though. Market might go sideways ahead of the Michigan data too. I don't think the Michigan data's got a lot of influence. This is mostly driven by UNH though. UNH is up to 305s right now. Newegg just dumped. Yeah, I couldn't imagine Newegg holds these gains. And yeah, what did I say yesterday? Predictable. Newegg has gone, just to clarify, from $3.32 a share back in April, late April, to $130 a share by August. Again, $3.32 to $132 a share. Wild percentage increase. I couldn't imagine that holds its gains. And so again, I said this yesterday, while it was at 130, now it's at 96. So it's dropped almost $40 a share. It's now down to 93. So again, it's dropped almost $40 a share in 24 hours. Predictable. Down to almost 90 now. Gotta be some news, huh? But all right, so Citi's July core PCE tracks lower at 0.27% month over month following import-export price data. Tracker was initially at 0.29% after CPI and PPI data this week. Citi's take is based it's tracking a 0.29% month-over-month increase in core PCE in July, but much softer international affairs and import price data released this morning leads to a lower forecast to 0.27. Core PCE inflation should still rise to 2.9% year over year, is what Citi thinks. Yeah, Farmer Bro, Martin Shkreli, shorted Newegg after 1,400% rally. Calls it close to worthless. Builds confidence for me, honestly, seeing big names mirror my sentiment, to be honest. Maybe I should have shorted, but honestly, Martin has a little bit more edge. I'm not saying I agree with anything this dude says, number one. I'm neutral. I'm not saying I disagree either, but he has a little bit more sway because just the announcement that he is shorting it is going to make Newegg go down, right? And I don't really have that much sway. I wish I did, but I don't. Nvidia down to 179.90s. I can't even knock him for it, though. I mean, if I had that much sway, I might do the same thing. Warren Buffett certainly has that much sway. We can't really get mad at him if we're not going to get mad at Buffett for doing the same thing. Well, Warren Buffett will buy a company and then announce to everybody he bought the company, and then just because Warren bought it, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The company goes up 20% or whatever it is. It's pretty standard. It's not like Buffett can even control it, but he certainly capitalizes on it. And so again, it's not really something you can knock about it. One of the biggest benefits of having big money is that you can influence things. And how it goes. All right, NASDAQ flushing down here. Look at this drop. We're down to 800s. All right, guys. Nvidia, Amazon, United Health pull back some here. Bounce at 800s. I don't really want to go counter trend with this big red candle though. And we're green on the day, but I'm gonna play smart. Low. The 30-year yield is 109 basis points higher than the 5-year. It's the widest since 2021. BlackRock bought 524 million Bitcoin for its Bitcoin ETF yesterday as well. What good news are you hearing, Jay? Never saw a market fall this much on good news. What a joke. What good news? Retail sales data was mostly flat. It heated up a little bit. They revised it upward is where it was heat up a little bit, but I wouldn't really call it great news. Especially in a market that fears inflation data. You know what I mean? The good news is the Alaska meet, maybe the overseas conflict can end. That's good, I guess. But again, we don't really have any word on that. We just have optimism. And so what good news are we talking about? PPI data was super hot yesterday at 8:30. That wasn't good news. Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Still dropping again. I don't want to counter trade this. It's too strong of a trend. I'm gonna wait. Green. I don't really need to push for anything right now. It's Friday. We got Michigan data in about 11 minutes. Again, stick around. We got Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectation data. I would assume they're going to revise inflation upward, which might cause a negative reaction. A lot of it depends on, is weighted on consumer sentiment though, but I'm gonna assume they're gonna revise inflation upward. Again, I might be wrong. Don't copy me, not an investment professional. I might have no idea what I'm talking about. I might be right. I might be wrong. I don't freaking know. It's a strong assumption though that they're gonna revise inflation upward, I think, based off of PPI yesterday, and you know, Nvidia is still breaking down. It's at 179s. Maybe a delayed response to the microchip tariffs announcement that we got earlier today, causing this red. Yeah, retail was stronger, but that might not be good right now. Okay, so if inflation is the fear, stronger economic data actually can be interpreted as a negative thing. What makes inflation worse? More sales might make inflation worse. Might drive prices higher for the same reason that lowering rates might make house prices more. Why? Because people are going to be able to take out more loans, buy more houses, supply and demand. And so hotter retail sales data in a market that fears inflation is not necessarily good. It's nuanced though, but still. Again, higher inflation data might make people interpret retail sales being higher or stronger as a negative, not a positive necessarily. Also, tariffs on semiconductors certainly could cause, I mean, Nvidia is driving this move down too. So. Yeah. And again, in 9 minutes, we got Michigan data that might influence things. If people interpret that as a negative too. Again, I'm going to assume the inflation expectations will be higher now too. We're bouncing right here at 75. Might be a level. I'll buy this. I get right here. I cut it right there. Scalping these moves, I don't trust it. 8 minutes. No losing trades since the open, which is good though. Is there lost sound? Somebody keeps saying there's lost sound. Is that true? All right, so the plane is supposed to arrive at Alaska at 3 p.m. local time. Eastern time. Okay, yeah, sounds good. All right, cool. Rejecting at 8 a week. Still falling down here. Video still cracking these lows. Listen, we're up small on the day. I'm gonna buy this dip down here. And see if we can ride a rebound back up into the Michigan data. We're kind of trading against the trend, but there we go. We're gonna cut it, and then we're gonna sit on this flat now. If we turn, which we just did. All right, so we just made another really nice gain from it, but I'm trying to get into positions where I can hold it longer term, and then I'm holding it break even, but we're kind of retracing back too fast. Maybe I should give myself more room. No losing trades still today, which is good, but. There are no losing trades since the opening bell. Again, here is my trade history. See it. So out of 20 trades, we've had 2 losses. Not bad. I'll take it. Green is good. I've been trading my levels a lot more too, but should have held this a little bit longer probably. All right, guys, Michigan data going live soon. All right, guys, so we're starting to move up a lot. We're at 23,805s right now, 23,805s. Look at this move. Starting to propel ourselves even higher here. I should have held that long, guys. Yell at me. Tell me get on to me about it. I should have held. Where do you get your news data as fast as possible? I've told people this before. I'm not going to give you guys my exact sources. I'm just not. If I was a cupcake seller and I had the greatest cupcakes around, would I give out the recipe for free? I'm sorry. No, the answer is no. I use a bunch of different. You want to know what I really do? I'll give you a little bit of it. I use a bunch of different sources stacked all in one screen, so I can look at each different source, see which one reports it the fastest, and then cover that. If that makes sense, right? I think that's the most logical way to do it. I don't use Bloomberg Terminal. I don't have Bloomberg Terminal. That's 30 grand a year, bro. I'm not paying for that. Top 3 cupcakes around, though. We got 3 minutes left. 3 minutes. I don't use trading economics either. All right, guys, we got 2.5 minutes left. 2.5 minutes. All right, Michigan consumer sentiment expected at 61.9. $61.9. Again, 1 year. Again, 56 point. Or previous was 4.5. Yeah, we'll just leave that up. All right, guys, here we go. Hit the live button next to the play button. We got 1.5 minutes left. 1.5 minutes left. I'm gonna be strong and assume here that the president's administration said to eye the CHIPS Act fund for Intel stake. All right. All right, guys, here we go. We got less than a minute. Previously, 4.5% for 1 year inflation expectation. Again, 5-year inflation was previously at 3.4%. All right, here we go, guys. We got 30 seconds left. A little bit over that, or a little bit under that. All right, 15 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. We'll see what we get. Here we go. Again, consumer sentiment especially like 61.9. All right, about 3 seconds left. See what this report shows. And here's the report right now. 58.6. 58.6. Weaker than expected consumer sentiment. 58.6, as well as higher inflation expectations, as I told you guys would probably happen. 58.6. 58.6 for August. Versus expected 61.9. 1 year inflation expectations again are now at 4.9% versus 4.5% last time. Again, 4.5% or 4.9% versus previously 4.5. 5 year now expected at 3.9%. Uh-oh. So this is high. Again, this is high. See what happens. Nasdaq originally reacted negatively to this report. Yeah, 4.9 for inflation expectations. I thought it would be high. Market originally reacted negatively, but now we're actually turning down here. What I'm assuming the reason for this is because, or we're turning up a little bit. I'm assuming this means a weaker economy, so a higher chance of rate cuts, and that's what the market is kind of interpreting here, is what I'm assuming. I might be wrong off with this. Let me know what you guys think. The Michigan data can be wildly inaccurate, though. It really can be. That's what I'm guessing is showing up here. Nasdaq's pushing up a little bit. Gold. I'm gonna put gold up here. Look at gold. Gold moving up a little bit. Look at the Nasdaq pump on this report. Wow. Interesting. We also had retail inventories at negative 0.1%, which is good. Consumer expectations were higher than expected, though, at 57.2. All right, reading the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report here. Preliminary. This is the prelim data, by the way. Consumer sentiment fell back about 5% in August, declining for the first time in 4 months. The deterioration largely stems from rising worries about inflation. Buying conditions for durable goods plunged 14%, its lowest reading in a year on the basis of high prices. Current personal finances declined modestly amid growing concerns about purchasing power. In contrast, expected personal finances inched up a touch along with a slight firming in income expectations, which remain subdued. Overall, consumers are no longer bracing for the worst-case scenario for the economy feared in April when reciprocal tariffs were announced and then paused. However, consumers continue to expect both inflation and unemployment to deteriorate in the future, maybe stagflation. Year-ahead inflation expectations rose from 4.5% last month to 4.9% this month. This increase was seen across multiple demographic groups and all three political affiliations. Long-run inflation expectations also lifted from 3.4 in July to 3.9 in August. This month ended 2 consecutive months of receding inflation for short-run expectations and 3 straight months for long-run expectations. Still, both readings remain below the highs seen in April and May. So that is the update on Michigan data here. Nasdaq's starting to rebound back up, though. Yeah, I mean, the Michigan data, though, guys, I mean, look, number one, it's kind of predictable. Like, I told you guys prior to this that it would probably show higher inflation expectations, and we did. That's pretty predictable. I think what happened is maybe the market got baked into this reaction here. That's why the market dropped, and that's why we're getting bought up now. Most likely the outcome. Yeah, it's on your end, Jow. It's probably your internet, brother. It's probably what I'm thinking. Let's see what yields are doing here on this report. I'm sure that yields are going to be decreasing a little bit on this report, but you never know. Yeah, they went down a very, very small amount for 10-year yields. Look at this. They were here, they went down to here. So very, very small amount, small downtick. Nasdaq's getting bought up. Look at Nvidia here. Look at Amazon. So, top 3 fastest readers. Yeah. I was always one of those people where I went and read a report in front of the class. Bro, I am speed reading that report. Nerves pick up. Anyways, guys, we'll see what happens for the rest of the day. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all be good. Have a great weekend. Be safe. If you want to check out Top Step, beautiful way to help support the channel. No PDT rule in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell. Patterns are very similar to day trading stocks. No PDT rule. Great way to learn. $50 a month for the base one. If you fail, it's not the end of the world versus funding your own account 5, 10, 20, 30 grand and probably losing it. We also have Bank of America reporting charge-off rate at 2.23% in July versus a previous of 2.33. So decreasing a little bit the charge-off rate. Delinquencies at 1.37 versus 1.38 previously. But again, check out TopStep. Beautiful way to learn how to day trade. Their new dashboard, you can track payouts. You can activate your funded account immediately. It's really, really, really nice. You guys should all check it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Yeah, you're probably right, William. But again, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all be safe. Again, give me a follow on x.com if you want to help support your boy here in this channel. At Beginner Trades. We cover all this stuff live. Great way to help support the channel. So give me a follow at Beginner Trades. Hit the subscribe button here. Hit the notification bell on YouTube. We appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Yeah, y'all be safe. Have a great day. Good luck. See you guys Monday, bright and early. Next week we got the Fed minutes report. We got jobless claims, unemployment. What else do we have next week? Yeah. We have housing starts, building permits, jobless claims, Philly Fed index, Flash services and manufacturing PMI, existing home sales, the Jackson Hole Symposium, and more tomorrow or next week. So be ready. We'll stream all of that stuff live as it happens. If you hit the notification bell, you'll get alerts every time we go live. And yeah, y'all be good. Have a great day.